Hey guys, this is Hob Bramble from the Board Game Geek forums. I'm here to run over one of the basic strategies in a sort of basic deck you could build in White Wizard Games is Epic. So this is a very simple strategy. It is one that has a few flaws. I'm going to go over both how to build for it and how to counter it efficiently. This strategy is based on token champions. And I'm really just going over it as kind of a basic early sort of primer. Here's some ideas you can use when building decks, especially for newer players who are perhaps newer to this kind of game or just having trouble getting good strategies going for Epic. So the core of this strategy revolves around one card, Inheritance of the Meek. And specifically its second ability, which is banish all non-token champions. If it's an opponent's turn, they draw a card, but don't worry about that. What you're worrying about here is that you banish all non-token champions. So this card obviously does a lot of good if you can build up a lot of tokens and if you can keep your opponents from doing that. More specifically, lots of people aren't going to rely on tokens that much. If you rely more or less exclusively on tokens, this card becomes rather amazing. So we're going to go over a couple cards that let you do that. We're going to start with what I call the cheap ones. These are cards that cost nothing to play. So starting, there's Plentiful Dead. Plentiful Dead lets you put a zombie into play. It also has a nice advantage of if you pay 1 health, you can recall it as its ally ability. And that's not super great, but you can still recall this a lot. You could get a lot of play out of that and bring a lot of zombies in. World of Summoning lets you bring a demon token into play, free. Rally the People, you get a good human into play. You can also recall this for 1 gold. That makes it, again, very easy to, you can play it, recall it right away with your 1 gold, and then play it again. Get 2 human tokens per turn. And then, of course, Brave Squire, put a human token into play. Target champion gains Unbreakable and +5 damage. That's great because you get a little extra push on a turn with your regular champions, perhaps, but it also gives you one of those human tokens. So those are your cheap ones. They're not the ones you're going to get the most out of, but they are ones you are going to get stuff out of. Moving up from them is your more regular token builders. Scrap Golem is kind of unique. Rather than summon a normal token type, if you tap him, you banish a card from your discard, and you put a token you put a token champion into play that's a copy of Scrap Golem. The nice thing about this is that gives you a 6/6 token champion that you can tap to summon more Scrap Golems. So he can build up a lot of guys very quickly, assuming your opponent doesn't destroy him. The downside of him is because he is so potentially powerful, your opponent is totally going to try to destroy Scrap Golem very early. Don't build your whole strategy around just Scrap Golem, but he's good. Dark Leader's next. Dark Leader, you just tap him to put a human token into play. That's anybody you can tap to bring a token into play. Really convenient way to get this done. The next card here, we're going to look at Inner Demon. Break target champion. The player whose turn it is puts demon token into play. So you can just destroy an opponent's champion and bring a demon token in for you, which is nice. Then we're going to look at Dark Prince, tap to bring a demon into play. And again, demon tokens are great because they're 4/4. They're the strongest of all the tokens, which is very nice. Though there are, I think, a lot more buffs for wild tokens. Demon tokens are still really handy. So here you have, this gives target champion +2/+2, which is, really nice. But when you recall it, when it leaves your discard pile, it gives you wolf tokens. So whether you're recalling it or doing something else, this is a quick, I'm not counting it as a cheap card because you have to use the recall ability or somehow else get it out of your discard to get a token from it. But it is a good way to build up tokens while at the same time buffing your other characters for turns so you can get some other fighting done. I've had a lot of success with Wolf Champion. Infernal Gatekeeper, when you tribute it, and or when the ally ability comes up, you can pay a health to put a token into play. So it has a lot of opportunity, assuming you're playing a lot of evils, which I'm sure you've noticed by now. There are a lot of evil cards that bring tokens in. This can be a great way to start ramping up those tokens while also getting a nice 9/9 character on the table, if you're not too worried about losing your own health. And then finally, tribute and or ally ability, and you don't have to pay any health for the People's Champion. A great 8/7 character and puts 2 human tokens into play every tribute and every time an ally ability is played. So if you're building a lot of good, amazing way to get some tokens ramped up. Now, the cheap ones and the regular ones out of the side, we're going to look at what I consider the best ways to ramp up your token count very quickly, and that's Demon Breach. Demon Breach, if it's your turn, you put 3 demons into play. Otherwise, you put 2 into play. And it has recall. Now, recall does cost a gold and a health, but still, that's bringing out a ton of demons very quickly. It's getting some very high power tokens. Then, of course, there's Wolf's Call. Your wolf champions all get blitzed this turn, which is nice, and it gives you 4 wolves, just period, right away. That's a great way to just get 4 tokens out on the table. And then Secret Legion, obviously, which is... you could draw 2 cards, but why would you do that when you can put 6 human tokens into play, and all of your human champions will get blitz? This is, bar none, the most bang for your buck in terms of getting a lot of tokens out, with the only possible real exception being probably Demon's Breach, because demons are so much powerful. Wolf's Call, again, wolves are more powerful than humans, but even 2/2 characters are going to get destroyed a lot, almost as fast as 1/1. 4/4s, you're going to have a little more staying power. So, you use those to bring as many guys into play as you can. You can also use, these are a couple bonuses I'm going to go over just because they're here. The Risen. Put 3 zombie tokens into play. Your rival champions gain blitz. Another quick way to start getting them out there. This kind of goes in with the last few, but it also gives you some nice bonuses of the evil blitz and the +1/+1s. Standard Bearer. Tribute. Put 2 human tokens into play. Your other good champions have +2. Another great way to get a weak hero out, but a hero and to champion, and to yank out a couple more tokens. Murderous Necromancer. Loyalty 2 puts 3 zombie tokens to play. Again, if you have an all-evil hand or a strong evil deck, killer character to have. Plus, when you tap him, he breaks a champion and puts a zombie token into play under your control. So you can use him to wipe out lots of your opponent's champions while getting your zombies out. The nice advantage of this is this can help you keep their champions from taking out your tokens early, if you wanted to decide to use your tokens for defense. And then Pack Alpha, tap to put 2 wolf tokens into play, which is a great ability. Plus, it makes your other wild champions much better while they're out. Now, admittedly, if you go with this strategy, you're going to lose him eventually. But he's great when you have all those wolves out, especially used with your Wolf's Call. You're talking, you've got 6 or more probably wolf tokens out at that point then. And they've all got at least +1/+1, so they're at least 3 3s. Great way to get moving. Now, you're going to follow that with one of these. Now this is a potential, not a necessary. And this is rough. Wave of Transformation can be used with this strategy. Wave of Transformation banishes all champions, even unbanishable ones, and for every champion banished, its controller puts a wolf into play. If you have strong cards for your wolves, like Pack Alpha and so forth, and Wolf Champion, that can be great for you. But remember, unless you're destroying your opponent's champions too, this is going to leave them with a lot of tokens, in addition to leaving you with some, which will make Inheritance of the Weak a little less powerful. The point being, once you get a lot of tokens out, if you can then play Inheritance of the Meek, banishing all non-token champions. Yes, your opponent will probably draw a card. If you do it on their turn, you could easily do it on yours. The end result will be, your opponent will have no champions out, and you'll have a ton. Tokens admittedly, but hey, a ton is a ton. Now, there's 2 major flaws with this strategy. One, if you never get Inheritance of the Meek up, it can be bad. There are other cards that can do a lot of banishing and breaking and so on and so forth, but most of them aren't going to spare your tokens like that. 2, there are a few cards that can wreck this strategy, and I'm going to go over them real quick too, because it's good to know what they are. Wither is a key one. Deal 3 damage to target champion and all other champions with the same name. And those get -3 attack for the turn. On everybody except demons, this will destroy tokens. Well, and scrap golem tokens. Because all of your token champions are going to have the same name. I mean, if you diversify, if you have zombies, demons, scrap golems, wolves, humans all at once, it won't. But if you are focusing especially, and I've done this, on just wolf tokens, this can wreck them very quickly. The next is Cleansing Light. Just draw 2 cards, and you can banish all token champions. Obviously, this card seems almost designed to go against Inheritance of the Meek. They're both good, but this seems pretty much built to break that. If you have the opportunity, the real key of this, obviously, if you have the opportunity, keep this in your own darn deck. If you have the opportunity to draft it, and you've already drafted Inheritance of the Meek, because that way your opponent can't get it. Standalone, starting with you, each player chooses a champion they control, break all other champions. This won't necessarily, save your opponent, but when you're left with 1 token champion, a lot of token champions when they have none, great. 1 token champion, not so awesome. Divine Judgment. If it is your turn, banish all champions. Another quick way to get this out. Kills off your tokens. And unlike some other cards, you know, tokens aren't coming out of your discard pile later. You're not going to play a zombie resurrection of some sort and bring those guys out. They're dead. Apocalypse. If it's your turn, break all champions. Again, you're losing your tokens. Plague. If it's your turn, break all champions. Zombie Apocalypse. Break all champions, then each player puts a zombie token into play for each champion in their discard pile. This can be really bad. Now, this is why you need something like Inheritance of the Meek. You want to banish your opponent's champions instead of break them. Because if you're simply breaking their champions and then you bring a bunch of tokens out, this will let them bring out a bunch of tokens against you. And meanwhile, when your tokens are banished, they don't go to your discard, so you're not getting zombies to replace them. This can be an ugly, ugly card. However, Zombie Apocalypse could also be used in place of or in addition to Inheritance of the Meek by you. If you banish your opponent's heroes and manage to leave your heroes in the discard pile, assuming, as I am somebody, I went over this with someone on the forums, assuming Inheritance of the Meek does not banish champions in the discard, this, if you can get your opponent's champions banished, will let you suddenly, and not get yours banished, will let you, even if you lose your tokens, get suddenly a bunch more zombies and still keep your opponent without tokens. So this can be sort of a replacement for Inheritance of the Meek. This can work either way. This can work against it or with it. Good to have in your deck if you're going to have it. Hurricane. Deal 9 damage to each champion. There is no token champion that will survive that. Rain of Fire. Choose 3 targets, deal 3 to the first, 4 to the second, and 5 to the third. Not as good, but this will still take a few tokens out fairly easily, unless you're doing all demons. And then, of course, you may banish target evil token champion if you play a warrior angel. Again, she's not going to be a be-all and end-all. Like Rain of Fire, these are probably the 2 weakest defenses against it. However, they can banish some tokens, which does help them against this. So, that is the Inheritance of the Meek and or Zombie Apocalypse token strategy for Epic. It is not a be-all and end-all strategy. It is not a perfect strategy. It is in some ways not even a good strategy. Again, you are really counting on this card coming up really badly. If it's on the bottom of your 30-card deck, this strategy is going nowhere for you. Though having a lot of tokens can still be nice, gives you a lot of opportunities to defend and so forth. Wolf tokens are going to be, again, especially great because you can buff them enough with other wild cards that you can really get something going with them if you need to, and this doesn't seem to pop up for you. That said, this is a still basic thing you can build your deck around, assuming you take all of the cards I just showed, including the ones against you. You're talking about, you know, nice little pack there. I'm not going to bother counting that. I don't care that much. But the point being, that's a nice way to kind of get your deck going. Just a sort of a starting strategy to think about. It's a starting deck type you may want to consider building, and a starting way you might want to go with your Epic deck. I'm going to go over another similar strategy in another video involving banishing more and tokens a little less, but for this video, that'll be it. Thanks for watching.